Let's see if this contraption works. We have water. Welcome back to Life on the Moose. And if you've never been here before, what are you thinking? No judgment. I don't care what happened in your past. Welcome. Well, it's the middle of October. Heck of a nice fall day out. In fact, it's a great day to put a sink in an outdoor kitchen. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching Life on the Moose. Okay, it's not going to be quite that simple. Let me show you what's going on. So my wife and I picked up this garden sink, I think is really what it is, about 20 years ago. We found it used at a house that was for sale, and I think we paid $25, maybe $50 for it. It's all stainless steel. It almost fits what we want for this purpose, but there's things that we don't want to happen, like the underneath part. I don't need the wheels and the framework underneath. I really just want the sink, the faucet, which, by the way, is fed with a garden hose, short garden hose. We'll get into that later. So I have to deconstruct this thing. I'm not exactly sure how easy it's going to be. You know, I've been accused once or twice on this channel of being a good teacher. Not in this episode. I'm going to be the student in this episode because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I've never taken apart a stainless steel garden sink before and installed it in an outdoor kitchen. Have you? So I'm going to see how I can take this thing apart, save the pieces, the ones that I need anyway. I might repurpose the bottom, the cart portion. Maybe I'll put a different top on it, use it as a workbench or something. But for now, I'm going to concentrate on taking this thing apart and maybe even flipping it around once I do, if I can, because I really like the bowl of the sink over on this side. Where am I going to get the water from, you say? Well, I don't have a well on this property, so I'm going to bring water in. Here. One of these. So this will be the water supply. And that water supply is going to be up here, but on the outside of the building. We'll get to that a little later as well. So before we get into the sink construction, let's get into the sink deconstruction. I know, not your typical sink installation, but it'll be just fine. Don't worry, it'll be just fine. Okay, I think the top is held on by 8 of these screws right here. I took one of them out, so that's what it looks like right here. Hey, look at that. That'll work. These cutouts wrapped around the frame in the back of the sink, but that's okay. Those will be in the front of the sink, and I will cover that up. It'll kind of give it the appearance of a undermounted sink by the time I'm finished with this whole thing. If it isn't quite clear yet what I'm going to do, I'm with you. I don't know either. I'm playing this by ear, so I'm figuring it out as I go. First thing I'm going to do, I know I'm going to do, is cover up these bays, if you will, the place between the joists. I'm going to cover those up, some leftover OSB and whatnot that I have left, just to make it difficult for rodents. I'm going to put a sheet of plywood on the floor as well, just because I don't want rodents, chipmunks, whatnot, coming up through the deck and nesting under the sink or in the cabinets. So let's cut some leftovers and start putting them on the wall. Okay, my wall's all finished. Now I'm going to start putting these ledger boards up. And this is in part what the sink will hang on. So I think this will all work out. Okay, I have my basic framework set up now. So I'm going to set my sink in here, see how it fits. I should have about an inch, give or take, all the way around so that I can put trim and build it up and get into all that later. Let's see if this thing fits. Okay, that'll work. Boy, all this kitchen building is really making me hungry. Let's eat. I feel better. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm sure you have. That was chili. It was a combination of bear and venison chili. The last batch I made has both, and I have, 2 or 3 bowls left of that batch. So, speaking of hunting, I went duck hunting last weekend. Yeah, I managed to bag a few. Didn't get my limit. I think I got 4 of them total. So that's good. I like duck. Do you like duck? You know, when I first started hunting duck, kind of side note, I thought in my head, duck, it's foul. Cook it like chicken. All the way through, cook it. Not at all. Duck is a red meat and should be eaten medium rare at the most. Trust me, the more it's cooked, the gamier it gets. And that is generally the case with any wild game. So if someone says, let's just cook the heck out of it, cook the gaminess away, doesn't work like that. The rawer it is, the more rawer? That sounds funny. The more raw it is, the less gamey it is. So it took me a while to figure that out with duck. That's the case. So at the end of this video, I'll have a few more scenes from my duck hunting trip in case you're interested. All right, let's keep working on this framework. Specifically, I'm gonna work on the frame in front, get it ready for my panel boards that I'm gonna face everything with. So do you want to drill a hole in the floor? Let's do it. 1.125" hole will be big enough for the end of this hose. That's the drain system. This gets screwed onto the bottom of the sink, and this will go through the hole I'm going to drill. So let's drill a hole. Don't you hate when you have to video something, but you forgot to hit record? I just did that. I drilled my hole. There it is. Quiz time. What's this called? Anybody guess? Okay, I'll tell you. It's an escutcheon. Cover plate, some people might say. I'll screw that down to the floor when I'm all finished with this. Guess what? It rained last night. That's a good thing. A lot of scraps to burn up. It's been a long, dry summer. Looking forward to getting rid of some of that stuff. We're in the barn this morning. We have to prep some of this wood. This is all going to be the face of the cabinets, in the front of the cabinets. So those are going to sit vertically, kind of like the other cabinets I've built from scratch in other cabins. Again, not fine furniture, so don't accuse me of that. This is pretty rough stuff by design, so I'll save the fine furniture building for later, a different project. So aside from these faces, which are, they're like 7/8 of an inch or an inch, close enough to each other. So all I have to do is run these through the table saw. I don't have my good table saw set up yet. So I got to use the old Betsy here and put a nice square edge on each edge if I can. These are deck boards, cedar deck boards. All I have to do is take the round edges off, and these will be countertop actually in some of the spots over there. And then last but not least, fence boards. You can't build an outdoor kitchen without more fence boards. So those are going to be the face of my countertop. You'll see later on, but what I have to do is just 2 of those. I have to just sand them. I know, more sanding. I got to sand them, make them look all pretty. Deck boards are fine. They're ready to go. Don't have to do really anything with those. I'll bring a piece of sandpaper with me over to the kitchen if I need it. Now you know what the underside of the kitchen looks like. Drain hose. I'm going to dig a little bit of a trench, as it were. Put the end of this so it continues to go downhill, and put the end of this under some rock. Just so I don't have anything pooling on top of the ground ever, I hope. This thing isn't going to be used every day, not like loads of dishes and things like that. So this is going to be just fine, I'm sure. It really will. No, I don't have my shovel with me. I'll make do. Okay, this hole is about 8 inches deep right here, and this kind of slopes down to that grade. So this will work. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is put some rock on the bottom where this is going to rest. So right there. And I found this screen on the road on the way over here. I don't know, it came off an ATV or something. But I'm going to use it. I'm going to put this on top of the trench so the gravel and dirt don't all compact and clog anything up. So I'm just going to set this right on the end here. More gravel on that. Okay, will that work? Good. I'm gonna caulk that hole down there before I put that escutcheon on. Fill that up so nothing gets through. But before I do that, I'm gonna be moving the sink. I'm gonna put a bead of silicone under here, and that's how it's gonna be fastened down. That and the wood trim that I'm gonna put over the top of it. You'll see. Oh, you hear that rain? That's a good thing. So these are more or less just spacers. They're gonna be hidden. Well, let's build a water tower. Kinda. This is my platform where the jug is gonna sit. Just a piece of ponderosa pine. This is actually left over from one of the sills up here. This will work out great. So I'm gonna put some heavy duty brackets up there. I got nailed into at least one stud. I might actually take off one of my siding boards from the inside and put a piece of backing. I think I'm gonna do that. But first I gotta cut this batten right here so that I can put my hangers flush with the siding. Okay, now I have to modify this cap, this spout spigot. That is just screwed in the end of that. So I'm going to take that one out and put this one in. I'm going to put a little bit of tape around there. I don't know if it does any good. If there's any expert plumbers, let me know if I'm messing up. But be gentle, please. Make sure I don't cross thread it because it's easy to damage that plastic. I think we're good to go. It's working. Let's figure out a way to mount this on the wall. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. Let's figure it out. I don't know how much water is in here. I might have to tip it. Okay, well, it works. Not much water in there now. You know, if I was getting paid by the hour, I'd be rich. This job is taking a while. My issue here is I don't want to bury this in the wall behind anything. Just in case there's a leak, you know? So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mount this in the corner, like about right there. I'm going to use these holes. That won't work as it is. I'm going to cut this metal on the corners and then take this side, bend it back. Then I can use these holes to screw this into the wall. You follow? How am I going to make that slit? With nothing I have on me. So, what time is it? Oh, it's almost 5 o'clock. I guess I'm going to head back to the ranch, get my Sawzall or something, and make that cut. And then we'll tackle this tomorrow and finish it up. I'm going to get water running in this sink. It will happen one way or another. Okay, you stay put. Patrick's Plumbing will be right back. How do you expect me to work under these conditions? Look at that. Goodness gracious. Hey, let's finish up this sink once and for all. Before I mount my faucet in the corner, I'm going to go ahead and put my overlap trim pieces on the back and on the side. I can't do anything more with the front because this is eventually going to extend all the way over. And the next episode, I'll finish up this whole bank of cabinets. And I have one little special detail I have tucked away for you. I'm not going to tell you yet. Anyway, that's going to be over here somewhere. So I can't really face this until I get everything else up. You'll know what I mean eventually. Let's see if this contraption works. I think it will. I'm not sure you could tell, but when I drilled the hole in here, I angled it down to the other hole on the outside so that I have a continuous downhill slope, because in the wintertime, I don't want water to be collected in this hose. That way you can just take this off, let it dangle, and everything will go downhill and drain outside if there's any left in the hose. So I think that'll work. Okay. Air valve open. Faucet open. So what's the over and under that water actually comes out of that faucet? I think it's pretty good. Let's try it. Look at that! We have water. And it falls directly in the drain. That was lucky. Speaking of drain, let's go down below and make sure that's draining okay. No leaks under there. We have plumbing. That doesn't even sound right, does it? Okay, the last thing there is to do is put a face on here and a door. I think I'm going to leave the end open to everything else underneath. That way you can have the option of putting longer stuff under here if you'd ever need to for some reason, if you can get it in the doors. So I'm going to use ponderosa pine and spruce that I milled up earlier this spring for my doors and for my front. So cabinet face and a door. And this episode will be finished. Well, if it looks like I'm not quite finished with the face of this cabinet, it's because I'm not. I ran out of material. I ran out of that particular wood right there. So I have to stop. But I have the door in. Check it out. You probably saw that I put the shims underneath this as spacers to leave it off the ground about 1/4 of an inch. And up here, you can see the gap difference between the door and the framework over there. That's because the countertop skirting, the countertop edge, will come down just above this door and will cover up most of this gap. So that'll be fine when it's all finished. It's a sink. We have a kitchen sink. What the heck? Would I do it again? I don't know. It was a little bit more of a pain in the you-know-what than I thought it was going to be, but you never know until you try. So I tried. It works. So there you have it. Okay, we have 1, maybe 2 episodes left on this kitchen build, and that's it. Thank you for watching Life on the Moose. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your likes and subscribe. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. I'm here every week. You know, I haven't missed a video for 1.5 years. Well, actually, it's even longer than that. Beginning of February is my anniversary, so to speak. Come back next week. We might finish this kitchen. If not, we'll do it the week after. But either way, we'll get it done. And then we'll be moving on to other projects. I gotta go edit a video, which comes out tomorrow. So that way, I'm still on time. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Be nice to each other. I'll see you soon.